Hi Year 11. This video is all about how to revise for GCSE languages. We will focus on French, but it will help with any GCSE language that you take. So essentially revision can be split into two categories, revising for vocabulary and revising for grammar. It's important before you start to have a look at the Pearson Edexcel website for GCSE French. The specification that you need is the 2016 specification because this is the specification that will cover the 2025 exams. It is the final year of this specification. Within the specification, it outlines all of the themes, the 5 themes, and within the themes, the subtopics that will come up. It helps you to understand what sort of information is needed within each of the topics. So, for example, the theme of identity and culture covers who am I, daily life, and cultural life. So you can see that within that, with who am I, you need to be able to look at relationships, when I was younger, what my friends and family are like, and so on. This will then help you to sort of target the type of vocabulary that you will need. But we will also make sure that we upload vocabulary mats into our Teams area, but I'll talk about that more later. So one of the first things and one of the sort of easy ways to revise are by making flashcards. As you can see here, I've given an example. So this is where we've taken some vocabulary and we've made a flashcard using that vocabulary. So here I've used the word la circulation, the noun la circulation, and on the back of my flashcard I have put its English translation. But equally, to take it one step further, I've then used that information in a sentence. So I've put that it means traffic and il y a beaucoup de circulation dans ma ville. So this shows that not only do you understand the word from a listening and reading point of view, but from a writing and speaking point of view, that you are able to use that information in a sentence. You can also use flashcards to practice your tenses. So here I've used the perfect tense, and on the back of my flashcard I've put that it's a form of the past. There's 3 parts to being able to produce it, and then an example of j'ai mangé. A grammar recall quadrant takes it one step further. So this time I have used the conditional tense, and there are 4 sections that we then complete. So the first aspect is being able to explain it. So can you explain what the conditional tense is? So here I've put that it's the idea of would do something. So it's our English equivalent, it's the English equivalent with would. And in order to form it, you need the infinitive verb plus your endings. Now, obviously, you can make your quadrant as detailed as you want or need it to be. So, for example, in the explain it bit where I've put infinitive verb plus endings, you could physically put the endings that match the pronoun. So, je, AIS, to, AIS, and so on. But for my purposes here, I've just kept it fairly simple. In my next quadrant then I've put examples, and again my examples are in English. What might be more useful for you is to put the English and the French examples. So here I've got I would like is an example of the conditional tense, and I would play, another example of the conditional tense. But equally, if you want to make it more detailed, you could put the French. So I would like, je voudrais, I would play, je jouerais. Again, it's entirely up to you with how detailed you make these. In the box below then, you've got irregulars, because we have to ensure that that we understand that not all verbs follow the same pattern. So I've just taken 2 common irregular verbs here of avoir and être. So avoir, to have, but the actual stem needed to create the conditional tense is au. You then add your endings onto that. And then être, to be, and again, ser is your start, and then you add your endings onto it. And finally, it's about creating sentences. Just like you did with your flashcards, you've got to show that you are able to use this tense. So here I've got 3 examples. Je voudrais aller au lycée, so I would like to go to college. Je jouerai au foot, I would play football. And je serai riche, I would be rich. Again, if you want to make this sort of more targeted and more detailed, you could think of the themes and subtopics and create sentences for those themes and subtopics. But again, that is entirely up to you with how detailed you make it. Once you've used your flashcards and your grammar quadrant, you can then have a go at creating sentences. And the way that this is beneficial is by potentially thinking of a theme, one of the 5 themes, and then thinking about sentences that you can create for that theme. Now, for your writing and your speaking, you will be fully aware that for those grade 5s and above at GCSE, you need to make sure that you are including 3 or more tenses. So what I've done here is I've thought about the topic of free time, so sport and free time. And in English, I've created 3 sentences, knowing that these 3 sentences cover 3 different tenses. So my first sentence, I play football because it is good for my health, is a nice present tense sentence. My second sentence, I used to play tennis with my dad every Saturday, is an imperfect tense sentence. And then finally, I would like to do judo because it would be fun, is my conditional tense sentence. What I then do is, based on the learning that I've done previously with my flashcards and my quadrants, I then see if I'm able to translate these sentences effectively and accurately into French. So, as well as building your own revision resources, there are resources out there that you can buy. I've put 2 examples on here. These can be found on the Pearson EdXL website, but equally, Amazon has lots of different revision materials that are available to purchase. There are also lots of websites that you can access. One that I haven't included on here is YouTube. YouTube has its useful sort of videos that you can watch that a lot of teachers have uploaded to there. You've got Languages Online on there. Languages Online breaks their sort of revision into topics, but it's fantastic for grammar. So the grammar section gives you a short explanation of each tense and then has different activities that are self-marked, which means you can see whether you've understood how the tense is formulated. Duolingo is very popular. My only issue with Duolingo is it isn't necessarily specific to the exam board. However, it's good for sort of recognising vocabulary. Word Reference is a sort of online dictionary. You can type in a word and it will give you the definition. It will also tell you whether a verb is regular or irregular. And finally, BBC Bite Size, again, another useful website whereby you can watch short clips, short videos, short explanations of grammar, and then there are usually exercises that you can complete once you have watched those videos. As well as either creating your own resources or buying resources or using useful websites, it's also worth keeping an eye out on the Teams section. So you all have access to Teams, and each class has their own teams. And on there, you will see that there's posts that we put on if we set any Seneca homework, but you'll also see that there is a section where we can upload files. So if you go to the top where it says general, if you go across, it says files. Here, if you look down here, are resources that we are continuing to upload as part of your revision. So one aspect that we've got here are the vocab mats that I mentioned earlier. So vocab mats will be split per theme and will contain French and English vocabulary, which you can then use as forming part of your sort of your revision and your flashcards. Here I've uploaded the speaking document because as part of your revision you need to make sure that you are continually working on your general conversation questions and answers. It's really important that you have the bank of questions, that you have pre-prepared answers for those questions. If you're unsure as to whether they would get you the best possible marks, please do make sure that you check your answers with your teacher. Another useful tool would be if you are completing your speaking revision and you would like your teacher to record your answers so that you can listen to them, then please do ask. That is something that we can work on and do. We will also make sure that in the class materials section we upload any PowerPoints from lessons that we feel would be useful as part of your revision. So at the moment there is there's a PowerPoint based on the GCSE writing, which has different activities that you can work through as part of your revision. So I hope that gives you a little insight into how to revise and the sort of resources out there that are available to you. Should you have any questions, please do make sure that you speak to a member of the MFL department who will be more than willing to help you. Thank you.